This is SHRM Global Radio in partnership with Timber Media, Podcasters for India Inc.
Hello and welcome back to SHRM Global Radio, everybody. Ahalya here, keeping you company on a brand new episode of our podcast. And I haven't really given much thought to it before today, but that word, global, has become so laden with meaning of late, right? Both good and bad, for and against. For ages, it seemed like the world kept shrinking. Technology connecting us faster, borders blurring, everything within reach. We built incredible talent pipelines, leveraging efficiency, and it used to feel like the world was one big, polished equivalent of LinkedIn. Full of talented people, minus bragging and buzzwords, hopefully. But things have changed. Global tensions, broken supply chains, and rising local-first policies are pushing us away from globalization and toward more self-reliant ways of working. Now, this isn't about shutting ourselves off. It's a strategic reset, a more fragmented, localized approach to global business, if you will. And guess who's right at the heart of navigating this new reality? Us merry folks in HR. That's who. It feels like HR is heading towards uncharted waters again. So today we're looking at HR's role in Geo-Workforce Strategy, how we influence where and how companies build teams across borders in a de-globalizing world. Strap in, this is a riveting conversation. When we hear the word de-globalization, it can sound alarming, like we're all suddenly going to start exchanging services using carrier pigeons or something. But it's not the end of international business, so far from it. It's just a pivot from hyper-optimization to more regional, resilient, and politically aware operations. Companies are now prioritizing security of supply, national interests, and local talent ecosystems over pure cost savings. Basically, the global chessboard just got electrified and the rules changed mid-game. So what does this mean for HR? The old one-size-fits-all global HR policy? Well, that's certainly out the window. Trying to apply it now is like attempting to legislate common sense globally. Good luck with that. But sarcasm aside, we're navigating a complex patchwork of regulations, labor laws, cultural nuances, and wildly varying talent pools. Compliance requires that data privacy, immigration, and local employment standards be distinct and rigorously enforced. Consider the push for reshoring or friend-shoring manufacturing. This is fundamentally about people. HR is on the front lines, figuring out where critical skills actually exist, how to attract and retain talent in new domestic markets, and how to rapidly build capabilities for these pivots. The war for specialized talent is intensifying, and as companies diversify geographically, they access talent without centralization, fueling dispersed cross-border teams. HR's influence is paramount in designing fair compensation, fostering inclusive virtual cultures, and ensuring multi-jurisdictional compliance. In case you hadn't picked up on it, not a small job. Which is why you could look at HR as the navigator, guiding global workforce choices. When companies make mistakes in Geo-Workforce Strategy, the consequences are significant. Financial penalties, reputational damage, and ultimately absolute business failure. Basically, an HR horror story that keeps the CFO awake at night. So how do HR leaders step up and really influence these make or break decisions? Well, HR's traditional role positioned us as implementers. In a de-globalizing world, though, that's not enough. HR professionals must become strategic architects, providing essential insights before those big calls on market entry, expansion, or even pulling back are finalized. We're not just at the table, we're really helping design the table. And this starts with data and analytics. HR's superpower. We need granular insights into global labor market trends, skill availability by region, competitive compensation, and talent demographics. This informs expansion or consolidation. Without data, you're just another opinion with an uncomfortably high salary. And then you've got risk mitigation, which is another core HR competency. In 2022, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, said, and I quote, Our supply chain is truly global, but we continue to learn from disruptions and are investing to increase resilience. End quote. So beyond legal compliance, HR professionals also have to assess geopolitical risk from a human capital perspective. What are the implications of instability on employee safety or talent retention? We need sophisticated risk matrices that integrate HR factors into broader enterprise risk management, including scenario planning. Because in our world, optimistic is just unprepared, but with a smile. And crucially, cultural intelligence and localization are non-negotiable. Think globally, act locally. Dictates that HR policies, development, and engagement be tailored to local contexts while aligning with values. We're not just translating anymore. We are adapting. You cannot merely copy-paste policies and expect them to magically work everywhere. One size fits all is not the answer. That's like expecting human behavior out of a universal plug adapter. They don't even work in some locations that they need to. Anyway, I digress. Good outcomes require deep collaboration with local HR teams and advisors to build inclusive cultures. For example, HR's insights during M&A due diligence, evaluating cultural compatibility and regulatory hurdles can determine integration success. And finally, HR must champion agility and resilience in workforce planning. Now let's get one thing straight. Rigid global workforce plans are a thing of the past. We need dynamic models adapting quickly to geopolitical shifts and emerging talent hotspots. This means fostering continuous learning, upskilling, and internal talent mobility, alongside building strong external networks and leveraging flexible talent platforms. Because these days, if your workforce plan isn't a fluid concept, it is just a historical document. Now, this kind of pivot can be quite overwhelming, but lucky for you, we're bringing you a blueprint for impact that features 3 pillars of influence. Now, these aren't just skills, they're strategic mandates. First one, strategic foresight. Elevate your geopolitical acumen. It is vital that you connect global macro shifts directly to workforce implications, anticipating talent needs and spotting risks. Be deeply data-driven, leveraging analytics to optimize allocation. Foresight is your lens for proactive decision-making. And think of it as having an HR crystal ball that runs on complex algorithms, which is only slightly less terrifying. Second, adaptive workforce architecture. This means championing hyper-localization, tailoring policies and leadership to local contexts while maintaining global values. It also demands mastering the future of work, designing flexible capabilities for dispersed teams, and building truly resilient talent ecosystems. Think agility and diversification. And third, unwavering executive advocacy. Proactively bring your workforce intelligence to every C-suite discussion, whether it's about market entry, supply chain redesign, or M&A. Frame HR's insights in terms of business risk, competitive advantage, and long-term sustainability. Be that indispensable voice of human capital, translating workforce dynamics directly into tangible business outcomes. This means showing up not just with the problems, but with the solutions, and ideally making sure they are presented as their idea. The landscape is changing, and HR is expected to be equipped for what's coming our way. The de-globalizing world isn't just a challenge. It's a new opportunity for HR to redefine its strategic value as enablers of business strategy, navigating fragmentation, building resilience, and unlocking human potential. It's an exciting time, but you've got to go into it with vision and strategy. That wraps up today's deep dive into HR's pivotal role in Geo-Workforce Strategy. Thank you for joining me on SHRM Global Radio. Until next time, keep innovating, learning, and leading, and we'll be back with another interesting conversation. Thanks for tuning in.
This is SHRM Global Radio in partnership with Timber Media, Podcasters for India, Inc.